Faster than light, most runs never reach the end. They don't die at the final boss. They don't collapse during the last stand. They disappear quietly, somewhere in the middle of the journey. Not because the ending is too hard, but because the middle is unforgiving. This is not a story about failing at the finish line. It's about never getting there. Welcome to the first mistake, a channel about the moments games don't explain. But always remember, the small decisions, the quiet assumptions, the mistakes that decide the run long before the ending. Faster Than Light is often described as a game about the final battle, but that is misleading. Most players never see the final battle. Most runs end earlier. Not in one dramatic explosion, but in a slow collapse of options. This film is about that collapse. About the moment where the run stops being winnable, even though the ship is still flying. Every run starts with comfort. Your ship responds instantly. Your crew follows orders without hesitation. Your systems feel reliable. Nothing is urgent yet. And when nothing is urgent, you don't think in terms of survival. You think in terms of efficiency. You think in terms of optimization. This is where FTL begins to teach you the wrong lesson. The first assumption players make in FTL is simple. There will be time to fix this later. Later to upgrade shields. Later to fix crew composition. Later to add redundancy. Later becomes a promise. And FTL never promises anything. Scrap feels like freedom. It gives you options. It lets you delay decisions. But scrap is not flexibility. Scrap is commitment postponed. Every unspent scrap is a future problem waiting to happen. Every poorly spent scrap locks the future into place. Sector 1 is calm. Enemies are slow. Mistakes are cheap. Hull damage feels cosmetic. You survive despite inefficiency. And survival without consequence teaches the wrong instinct. It teaches you that recovery is always possible. By sector 2 or 3, nothing looks broken, but several quiet things are already true. Your defenses are barely sufficient. Your offense relies on timing, not certainty. Your crew can solve problems, but only one at a time. These are not failures. They are conditions. Midgame is where FTL stops forgiving. Not suddenly, not dramatically. It simply starts overlapping problems. A fire during a boarding event. A hull breach during a missile volley. A repair delayed because someone is fighting instead of fixing. None of these are unfair. Together, they are little. The real resource in FTL is not hull, not fuel, not missiles. It's attention. How many things you can meaningfully respond to at the same time. Early game demands little attention. Mid game demands all of it. There is always a moment where the run begins to strain. A fight that takes too long. A decision that feels rushed. A repair that finishes just a second too late. Nothing ends here, but something shifts. The run stops feeling stable. From that point on, every problem invites another. You send crew to fix shields. Weapons go offline. Oxygen drops. Someone panics. Another room catches fire. You are no longer planning. You are reacting. And reaction is always slower than preparation. This is where players blame RNG, because from the inside it feels sudden, but from the outside it is consistent. The run does not collapse because of one bad event. It collapses because there is no longer any buffer. There is no recovery phase in FTL. You don't get a rest. You don't get a breathing room. Every jump assumes you are already ready for the next one. If you aren't, the game does not slow down. Most runs die without ceremony. No final boss, no dramatic speech, just a screen filled with overlapping problems. And that is not failure. That is the game working as designed. The audit in FTL is not the flagship. The audit is the moment you realize there is no clean solution left. No upgrade that fixes everything. No decision that restores control. Only damage control. FTL is not testing how well you fight. It is testing how early you commit. How early you decide what matters most. Because the game will enforce that decision later. The first mistake in FTL is not a wrong upgrade. It is believing that you can remain undecided, that you can stay flexible forever. The game does not allow that. Most runs end in the middle, because the middle is where ambiguity dies. You either build something coherent, or you didn't. There is no partial credit. If you have never reached the end of FTL, that doesn't mean you failed. It means the game showed you the truth earlier. That survival is not about clutch moments. It's about the decisions you stopped questioning, the upgrades you delayed, the priorities you never defined, the assumptions you carried forward. Because in Faster Than Light, the run is usually lost long before anyone notices. If you enjoyed this channel is about the moments games don't explain, but always remember. The small decisions, the quiet assumptions, the first mistakes. This was the first mistake. See you before the next one.